Once upon a time, there were two very good friends who lived together. They have known each other since childhood and were inseparable. Growing up, they shared everything from clothing to food and friends. However, as they grew older, they started to develop individual interest for different things, though they still share many things in common. Peter, who was the taller of the two, was very kind and friendly. David, on the other hand, was somewhat quirky and conceited. He was always trying to outdo himself in any given situation and prove that he is better than anyone else at anything. They had both graduated from college and decided to move to the big city together and try to find a job. Growing up, David always bragged about how he intended to become rich and make his first million before his 23rd birthday. He would tell everyone how he got it all figured out. However, when he arrived in the big city, the reality was way different than he thought, and his genius plan of becoming a millionaire was beginning to look like a pipe dream. Peter, on the other hand, kept humble and would traverse the length and breadth of the city applying for jobs in different companies. In the meantime, he did odd low-paying jobs, just to survive and pay the rent. Meanwhile, David was getting depressed and spending more time at home doing nothing but watching television and sleeping. One day, while doing some errands, Peter got a call from one of the companies and was asked to come for a job interview. He went the next day and was eventually offered the job. He was so elated and could not wait to get home to share the good news with his friend David. When he got home, he rushed inside to tell David the good news. However, David did not seem too excited for him as he had expected. Instead, he was shocked that his friend has gotten a job and not him. His demeanor changed immediately. When Peter asked why he wasn't happy for him, he blurted out some incomprehensible words that sounded like congratulations. Peter started work at his new company and got along very well with his colleagues and bosses. He soon got himself a new apartment and brought David along to live with him. He treated him like family and took care of him like a brother. However, David could not bear to see his friend living his dream. He got even more depressed and secretly blamed Peter for his predicament. At first, Peter was oblivious to David's resentment of him, but eventually began to notice some changes in his behavior. He then decided that the only way to help him get out of his depression was to help him find a job. Every day, Peter would send David potential leads for job openings in different companies and encourage him to apply. However, David would come up with different excuses, like not having time to apply because he is working on his big $1 million project. Things got to a head one day when he accused Peter of pestering him to get a job because he was tired of footing all the household bills and wants him out of the house. Peter was dumbfounded by the accusation and could not believe how ungrateful David has become. He was upset for a while but quickly forgave his best friend. When Peter found out about an opening in his company, he quickly told David about it and asked him to apply. He reluctantly did and was offered the job after Peter helped put in a word with his bosses and vouched for him. When he started working, everyone treated him so nice because Peter had told them that David was his best friend and like a brother to him. David settled in very quickly, and being David, he started bragging about his accomplishments and always trying to over-impress. He would go around telling everyone how Peter was too slow in getting things done, and how he used to beat him at practically every sport during their school days. When Peter found out about what he's been saying, he wasn't too happy and tried to talk to him and call him to order. But David was too engrossed in all the hype and prodding from his colleagues and couldn't stop talking. He kept on telling everyone that cared to listen, their childhood secrets and his embellished versions of events that happened so long ago. Peter could no longer accept his behavior and their relationship had become very toxic. So he asked David to move out of his house. After moving out of Peter's house, David doubled down on his offensive against Peter and became a full-blown enemy. He would undermine Peter at any given opportunity and try to sabotage his work. Peter was so perplexed and could not understand how his childhood best friend, whom he has always tried to help, has suddenly become his sworn enemy. Having had enough of all the acrimony and negativity, he decided to tender his resignation in order to escape the toxic work environment he now finds himself. Meanwhile, the entire office, who has witnessed all the happenings, were more perplexed and could not understand why David hated Peter so much. What was more perplexing is that in all their interactions with Peter, he never said anything bad or negative about David. Soon enough, the bosses became aware of what was going on, and they were not happy how David has turned the office into a battleground. The next day, when Peter got to the office, he went into the boss's room to tender his resignation. However, he had a big surprise waiting for him. In the office were all the big bosses and the entire senior management team. They all told him how proud they were of him and how he has handled the whole David situation. They extolled his patience, serenity, and leadership qualities. He was given a promotion to lead a new team and a fat raise. David, on the other hand, was fired on the same day and asked to leave the office premises immediately. In conclusion, this story teaches us about envy, jealousy, kindness, forgiveness, and justice. We always have to be very mindful of the company we keep. Sometimes, the biggest obstacles and stifling forces to our success can be found among our closest friends and associates.